Okay, guys, welcome back. Welcome back to day 10 of gravitation. And this probably is the last class of gravitation. I mean, we can discuss more. I can discuss more questions and all, maybe one more session, but the teaching actually stops in this class. Because yesterday I have already talked about the elliptical. I didn't talk about elliptical orbits, I talked about ellipses. Like, what is the structure of ellipse? What is the main importance of ellipse? And some person actually sent me how he made an ellipse. Who was that? Taking
Me only, sir.
what did you do, Aditya?
Sir, I took a divider.
Okay,
Then what you use threadness, I have tied it loosely to both the end.
both the ends, and you took a pencil and
I
made it
took
go
a
around, right?
specific length of 10 centimeters, sir, for that.
Okay, right. Yeah. So you
And
did
A
that.
value so that I took so that I can take A value as 5 and B value as 4.
Okay.
So and I used that formula to prove that my formula was right also.
Oh, fine. So anyway, that is the point. Like, if you've tried that thing on your own, nothing is like you have two fixed points, and you tie a string which is loose. You put a pencil, you make it go around. You will get a ellipse. And I asked or told you that in the last class already. But leaving that part behind, we already talked about how an ellipse and how the structures of an ellipse. And I asked this relation in the last class. You people gave me the relation, a lot of people gave me the relation in between eccentricity A and B.
So that lonely screen
I'm
player
sorry,
is there.
eccentricity A and B, the relation, somebody gave this to me. Again, I'm just repeating it. I'm just going to talk about all the things at once. This value is A, this value is B, this is EA. So E is like the ratio of this length to this length. That's all. Okay. So there are 2 points. Those 2 points are called as focus one and focus two foci. If you understand up to this extent, it's more than enough, and you need to understand. I mean, remember this point: the length, no matter which point you take here on the ellipse, this length f1p plus pf2, it remains constant throughout the throughout any case. So if you use that case, we actually come across this relation: e equals to root over 1 minus b square minus a square. So e is called as eccentricity. So guys, let me show you something. If only b equals to a, which means it must be a circle. A equals to b. If only a equals to b, which means it's just a shape of a circle. What is the value of eccentricity?
Zero.
0, sir.
1 minus.
1 minus 1 is 0. 0
Okay.
root 0.
So eccentricity is 0. Now, what's the other case? What if b is 0? As in, you're completely squishing the, what do you say? You're completely squishing uh, the ellipse. So you'll simply get a straight line like this. That's all. This is the other extreme. There is only a, the b is completely has gone to 0. So in this case, e value is coming as 1 minus 0 square by a square. You get e equals to 1. Guys, remember this point. The eccentricity is 1 and eccentricity is 0. These are the two extremes for the eccentricity. It's as if you take a circle, you keep squishing it all the way. It's like a circle starts here, you keep squishing it, it bends all the way to a straight line. The eccentricity starts from 0 and it all goes all the way to 1. That is how it varies. The eccentricity starts from 0, it goes all the way to 1, and it starts from a circle, it goes all the way to a straight line. Okay, guys, so that is how the variations become. Okay, so the eccentricity decides how squished the ellipse is. The eccentricity decides how squished the ellipse is. If the eccentricity is nearer to 1, like the elliptical ellipse is like this, you'll get a very squished ellipse. Okay, if the eccentricity is nearer to 0, you'll almost get a 0, I mean circular style shape. Okay, like I mentioned already in the past, Earth's orbit, its eccentricity is like 0.02 or 0.05 or something. I don't remember the value. It is very near to 0. So it's the orbit is almost circular only. It's not really, it's not the way that you see in the diagrams that they show you all the time. Like they draw a huge ellipse. It's not the reality. Okay. So for a circle, it's, so you're trying to understand this whole part, right? Like you have a center, the center splits into two. Those 2 points are nothing but f1 and f2. As the circle is getting squished, as it completely gets squished, focal points go to the extreme. So they start from horizon and they go all the way to extreme. Now try to understand the ellipse in this manner. Okay, this is what an ellipse is. Okay, now why do we need all these things when it comes to elliptical orbits? Like you need to know the basic properties of an ellipse. Obviously, we are going to use all those ideas. Let me show you how. In all the elliptical orbits, whether it could be planets around sun, it could be planets around sun, or it could be satellites around earth or any planet. You can take a satellite or you can take a planet earth around sun. Any case, Aniket just came in now. In both the cases, the central object, which is supposed to be at the middle, it always goes to one of the focuses. Remember this point, either at f1 or f2. In this case also, it's either at f1 or f2. You get that? So it has to be either at the either focal points f1 and f2. It won't be at the center. People might think that no, they won't be at the centers. They're either at the focal points f1 or f2. I'm not going to deal with both the cases. We are going to only deal with one. Like take one case only. It's completely similar only. So I'm going to take one body capital M, the other body small m going in an elliptical orbit. So the one of those bodies must be at one of the focuses f1, f2. All the properties must be same. A, B, everything must be same. Okay. So you clearly can observe one point. It is not a circular orbit. If it's not a circular orbit, the distance is changing. Distance in between them is changing, which means the potential energy is changing. Minus gmm by r is changing, which means the kinetic energy is also changing. Yes, this is true. The kinetic energy, the potential energy of the system are constantly changing. But the good part is the sum of these two, which is nothing but the total energy is always constant. The total energy is always constant. It's not a changing value at all. The total energy is constant since there is no external forces on the system. You don't really see any external forces, right? All the external forces are done. Like what we're looking at is a gravitational force in between them, which is an internal force. Yes, the kinetic energy changes. Yes, the potential energy changes, but the total energy doesn't change. We will come back to this total energy later, but let's talk about the potential energy and kinetic energy. Can somebody tell me in this whole motion, where is the kinetic energy maximum? Where is the potential energy maximum? Where is the kinetic energy maximum? Like let's just do the comparisons. Aditya, what is it?
Sir, at the point after that f2, na sir?
Like I should be drawing it like this. The proper way to draw an elliptical path, it shouldn't really look like this. Let me draw it properly so that you get a better understanding. Okay, so what is the closest point in the whole travel?
Sir,
the one near f1.
F1, sir.
So let us call this as the point A. Let us call this as the point B.
Yes, sir.
Here, what can you say about potential energy? What can you say about kinetic energy?
Sir, at point B, the potential energy is very high, but kinetic energy is too low. But at the point A, we can say like kinetic energy is very high and the potential energy is very low.
High potential energy, low kinetic energy. Here you're saying low potential energy,
high kinetic energy.
But high kinetic energy. Rest of you people agree with this thing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
sir.
what happens. In this case, the velocity will be max. This is a V max case for an elliptical orbit all the time. When it is at the closest point, the speed of an orbit is really high. When it is at the farthest point, the speed of the object is very low. So this is the V minimum. This is the V maximum. That is one important point. So the kinetic energy, potential energy can also be written. Can you give me the values of kinetic energy and potential energy? Can anybody give me the entire clear relations? Aditya, yeah, go ahead. Can you write me the values?
So first thing for potential energy, F1 from F1, that point A, we will take the distance as R, sir.
You can't
sorry,
say
A.
it as R. You already have these distances. Did you forget that?
A by 2, sir. A by 2, sorry. A by 2.
This
A by 2
is EA. So how much is this distance?
Oh, EA minus A.
1 minus E into A.
Yes, yes, sir.
So how much is this distance? This is also A, right?
Yeah.
So the summation of these two is nothing but this value, which is
2A minus that, sir.
E into A.
Yes, sir.
Right. So let me draw it again clearly. I'm not drawing the elliptical path a lot anymore. I'm just giving you the focal one. I'm drawing the focal two, but it doesn't really have any importance anymore. We have both point A and point B. We have point A and point B. Point A has a distance 1 minus E into A. Point B is at a distance 1 plus E into A. So let's write the potential energy. The potential energy at this point and the velocities also. Let's mention the velocities. This is a V max and this is V min. Did I get some message? Yeah. So this is the V max and this is V min. Let us write the energy comparison. Like I said, the energy is clearly conserved because there is no external force on the system. Masses are, this is capital M, this is small m. So minus Gmm by 1 minus E into A plus half m V max square. Here, tell me what are the values? Guys.
Yes, sir. We have to write minus Gm
by
upon 1 plus E
to A plus
1 by 2 M V minimum.
Minimum square. So we totally can write the energy conservations. Now,
yes,
along with that, I'm going to also tell you one more thing. The body is going in a circular motion. Sorry, not circular motion, elliptical motion. The bigger mass is here, the smaller mass is here. Even though the force is acting, the force is always acting towards this point. There seems like there is no external torque either.
Yes,
there is any torque, external torque?
I think no, sir.
No. So we can also conserve the angular momentum at any point. You can also conserve the angular momentum at any point. So I'm going to write the angular momentums also. Shall we write the angular momentums up above? Angular momentum is not I omega for a body, simple body. It is just MVR. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, for a point mass.
Yeah, like we can consider this as a point mass. So MVR, M into V max into 1 minus E into A. Here it is M into V min into 1 plus E into A. You can write this angular momentum at the farthest point and the closest point. So all those things are totally fine. Like you can write the energy conservation. I'm not saying you will get anything out of it. All I'm trying to say is you will, when you try to solve the problems, these quantities can be done. Like you can use these ideas to solve a lot of problems. They simply give you sometimes, what they do is, they give you an elliptical orbit, F1. They give these distances, they don't even mention anything. They simply give these distances A and 5A randomly. They give you this velocity, V max. They ask you this velocity. How much is this velocity? What do? You don't really need to write the energy at all. What do? All you need to do is simply
So conserve angular momentum,
observe the
sir.
angular momentum and you'll get it. Now, guess what, guys? It's not just the point A and point B. You can use any random point C also to write the energy conservation and also the momentum conservation, the angular momentum conservation. You can write them at any point. Okay.
Yes.
You don't have to just take these 2 points, but you don't get these random points. Like nobody is going to ask you at these random points. But even though if somebody asks, you should be ready to write the energy conservation and also angular momentum conservation to two different types of problems in elliptical orbits. Okay. Now, what other things are important when it comes to elliptical orbits? Yeah. What is the total energy of an elliptical orbit? Let us say I actually mentioned that there is an ellipse F1, F2, everything was given. Everything was given clearly. A is given, B is also given. What is the total energy? What is the total energy of a elliptical orbit object? Like for a circular orbit, we clearly easily did that. Remember, for circular orbit, we did the potential energy, kinetic energy, and total energy. Do you remember the values? What was the kinetic energy? GMM by 2R. Potential energy was minus GMM by R. The total energy was minus GMM by
GMM by 2R naught.
2R. Not, yeah, orbital radius. For a circular orbit, we clearly did that. But what about an elliptical orbit? Can you people tell me anything about it? No? How do you do that?
Sir, I think we should take 2 points where velocities will be same. So I think the point about the y-axis should be a good enough, sir.
I didn't get that. Can you come again?
Like if you see the points where the ellipse is cutting at y-axis, I think that
you're talking about these 2
velocities will be
points.
same.
You're talking about these 2 points again, point A and point B. Okay.
Y-axis, sir, y-axis, not x-axis.
Acha, you're talking about these 2 points. Why?
Yeah.
Let us call them
I
as
think these 2 points will have same velocity, sir, magnitude wise.
But what are you getting out of it?
Sir, at least I can maintain that this equation nicely and make that V equal.
But like, what do you get out of it exactly? Like at the point of C and D, the bigger planet is here, the satellite is here. So what do you get out of it? What's your idea?
I thought that velocity at these 2 points should be same, so we can exterminate that V max and V minimum terms.
Okay, and
get a common term like V.
And what are you going to use? Like you are going to write the energy here and here.
Yes.
You know what you'll get? You will get x equals to x. You can multiply it with 2 and prove 2 equals to 2. You can multiply it with 3 and prove 3 equals to 3. You can multiply it with pi and prove pi equals to pi. Wow, genius.
Totally.
No. So I'll give you a hint. Everyone will simply give you the formula, but I'm trying to give you a hint what you need to do. Let us use the points A and B only. My drawings are such a disaster sometimes. Okay, right. So let's just take the points A and B only. At this point, it has V max. At this point, it has V min. And planet is here, satellite is here, satellite is here. Now, in this instant, there is gravitational force, which is how much? GMM by this distance is 1 minus E into A, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, this is the gravitational force. Can I equate this to mv max square by Again, 1 minus E into A, mv square by R.
Yes, sir.
Since it is exactly perpendicular, at this instant, I consider this is going in a circular motion. Like if I take this at this instant, I can't say because V will be tangential. So mv square by R will be perpendicular to that, but the gravitational force is not along that. So I cannot take any random point. But taking this specific point A or point B, I'm able to build an equation now. I'm able to build an equation now. So I'll use that idea. I'll use this formula here, or I'll use the same formula here. Here also I can write the force of gravitation, which is gmm by 1 plus E whole square by A square equals to mv minimum square by 1 plus E into A, mv square by R. If only I can use this and get something out of it. Can I get V max or V min? If I can get that, once I have that V max and V min, if I put that in the terms of kinetic energy and potential energy, can I get a total energy term? That is the question. Okay, guys, are you going to try that? Not right now, but if you're going to try that, I can move on to the next topic.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Like we can use the V minimum, V maximum as variables.
But you
Like
can
how we use
find the,
GM.
you can find the V min and V max using the force, gravitational force.
Okay. Yes.
So using that idea, try to bring those values and try to put them into kinetic energy and potential energy. Try to bring the values, and from that try to find the total energy. And guess what? The total energy actually comes just as this simple. Remember in circular motion, what was the total energy that we got? Minus gmm by 2r0, right? This was the total energy. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
You will get a similar equation only, except in the place of r0, you will get A.
Yes.
Try to prove it, you'll get the idea. Okay, I can simply give you the there is nothing to give. I already gave the way to do it. I'm asking you to prove it. Okay, now once you're done with the total energy, is it important? Yeah, maybe, because writing the total energy is sometimes important in elliptical orbits. Sometimes you might have to write the total energy here in random positions. It might come useful because the total energy is a constant value. The total energy is a constant value. Yes, the kinetic energy is changing, the potential energy is changing, but the total energy is a constant value. It is not changing at all. So it's a huge advantage for you people, because in an elliptical orbit, everything is quite uncertain. You cannot talk about velocities is like this, accelerations are like this, and there is some tangential acceleration, there is some linear acceleration. Things get complicated. But we have one advantage here. The advantage is that the total energy of a system is always constant, whose value is minus gmm by 2a. We are going to use that. Like, trust me on this thing. In some problems, we are going to use that clearly. Okay. Now, once this is done, we are going to bring ourselves back to the idea of Kepler's laws. Even though I discussed the Kepler's laws right in the beginning of this topic, we are going to talk about the Kepler's laws again. What were the Kepler's laws? Do any of you remember the law one by one? Anybody? Hello? Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
But you don't know you don't
sir.
remember the Kepler's laws?
No,
Not
sir. I don't
exactly,
remember,
sir.
sir.
I've even shown you the animations, right? The first thing
Yes,
is
sir.
We
if
show that
we go in
Yes,
elliptical
yes,
orbits,
low
let
velocity was-
me
Yes, sir.
let me open that for you. Let's
So
just
with the sun as the focus, that only right, sir.
yeah. So first
that
thing is
is
just about Oh, you
Sir,
don't
it covers equal areas in
Equal
equal
area.
times.
Yes. Okay. Let's look at that. All the planets move in elliptical orbits with sun at the focus. So that is the first statement that he's trying to make. Let's see if I can take it side by side. Yeah. The first thing for the first law is about all the planets are going in elliptical orbits with the main planet or sun at the focus. Okay. Now you don't really have to follow just this for planets. You can also use this for any mass and and any satellite also. This is totally fine. Okay, that is the first law. We've already kind of gone through this thing. Like, it's not just the circular orbits, elliptical orbits are also stable. And I've given you some intuitional idea how this elliptical orbit is stable. It's not just the circular orbits. I've shown you the funnel where the orbits like this are also stable, right? So that is a basic idea of the first law. Talking about the second law, the radius vector of the sun planet sweeps equal areas in equal times. Let us talk about this. We've only just took the statement that day, but we didn't really prove it in any sense. Let us talk about a satellite going in an elliptical path, and he says F1, F2, this vector, it sweeps equal areas in equal times. So in some time, if you take the amount of area that it sweeps is same, like in the same time, like let us say from here to here it took some time t0, and from the some other position, from this position to this position, it again took time t0. So this area and this area, both the areas are basically equal. That is what he's trying to say in Kepler's laws. Area 1, area 2, they're totally equal since the time periods are equal. Can we do anything to prove it mathematically? Guys, you people have to tell me something here. Can we do anything to prove it? Are anybody? Any ideas? Why are people being dumb? Let us call this as R. Okay. In small time dt, it covered a small angle d theta. In small time dt, it covered a small angle d theta. So what is this area? How do you write this area? Since it is so small, I'm going to write it as half r square. Let me properly show it to you. Like, don't be, let me not, like, don't be, that quick. This is d theta, this is r. So this is r d theta. To write the area of this sector, you people might have already come across this thing, half r into r d theta, so which gives us half r square d theta. You know this thing, right?
Sir, we are taking it as triangle, right?
Yeah, a very small triangle. Since it is so small, it can be written as a triangle. Okay, so this is the area of this little triangle. Now, what did we just found out? In time dt, it covered an area dA, which is equals to half r square d theta. I want dA by dt. So I write half r square d theta by dt. Here is where we kind of make an assumption that this value is constant for a small interval. That small interval, this value is constant, and we come across this thing. So dA by dt, the aerial velocity equals to half r square. D theta by dt is nothing but omega. And if only I bring m into this thing, half, I multiply I with m in both the sides, m into dA by dt, mr square omega. What does it look like?
There's angular momentum.
Exactly. So this part right here simply looks like it is angular momentum. So that is why this whole thing is constant, which means the aerial velocity, they call this as aerial velocity. That is one term, that is one way to put it. But dA by dt is a constant value, and that is what they're trying to say. The aerial velocity that it covers in equal intervals of time is constant. Do you get it? Aditya, what is it?
So once can you get that figure, that triangle figure on the screen? Yeah. Sir, we write the formula as half r square d theta.
Yeah.
So it's showing like r should be perpendicular to r d theta. Then how can we make the assumption like hypotenuse?
Like since it is very small, that is where the magic comes for the d theta. Okay, like you don't even see this thing. It is so tiny, so tiny, and we use that trick. We use that assumption to write the areas like this.
Sir, we can't just take it as a rectangle. How we took r d theta?
No, to rectangle, for a rectangle, you need this, right? You need this width. On the other end, there is no width. So you can't take it as a rectangle.
Okay, sir.
Even
Taking it
though
as
when
a
you make
triangle is
assumptions,
itself
there
an
are
assumption.
limitations, okay? You don't really completely get the hold of these assumptions right now in this point. You might slowly understand them in the future. But yeah, at this point, it is a bit weird for you people to accept this fact. Okay. So that is the second law of Kepler's, which is the area sweeping. This like the second law can be simply considered as what we're talking about is nothing but the aerial velocity is constant. So like this is like the aerial velocity is constant. Now talking about the third statement is a important statement to which we are not really going to see the proof at this point. The square of the time period, the square of the time period, do you remember this? Is proportional to what normally in
A
a
cube.
circular
R
orbit?
cube, sir.
In a
R
circular
cube.
A cube,
orbit,
R
in a
cube.
circular orbit, it is basically R naught cube. Here it says the cube of semi-major axis, so A cube.
Yes, sir.
So that is the third statement. We are not going to into the depths of this statement right now at this point. T square proportional to A cube. In fact, they give you a statement saying 4 pi square gm into A cube. Just like in the place where you have in a circular orbit. Do you remember 4 pi square by gm r naught
Yes,
cube?
sir. Yes, sir.
Just in the place of r naught, you'll simply have a, and this is how you write the time period. So the best part about an elliptical orbit, about the time period, it only depends on a, it doesn't depend on b. We can find the, we can actually like prove this thing, but it's not right there in your syllabus, so I don't really like to discuss it with all the people. We can discuss it in our personal discussion, like how, like you tell me your approach and we'll clearly talk about it later. But right now, no, I'm not discussing this thing. Okay. So look at this thing. The time period only depends on the semi-major axis. It doesn't depend on the semi-minor axis. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter whether the orbit is almost circular or the orbit is almost a straight line. In both the cases, it only depends on A only. So the time period is proportional to A cube only. It doesn't matter whether E is 0, it doesn't matter whether E is 1 or somewhere in between. The time period is always proportional to A cube only. In fact, from this situation only, you can simply write the time period of a circle. But you cannot take this as an example and prove this. No, that's not a way to do it. Okay. We can talk about it in another class or another discussion in between us personally, but not right now in this class. All right. So that is the third statement, guys. These three statements are quite enough. Sorry, quite important. First, second are like quite easy. Elliptical orbits, and it's about the focus. Second is dA by dt is constant. Third is t square proportional to a cube. So that is these are the three things that are needed to be remembered about Kepler's laws. And the other thing about elliptical orbits, we can find the relation between V max, V min, kinetic energy, potential energy, total energy. I asked you to find the total energy. We know the value, but I asked you to find it. I asked you to prove it. So these are the things that we discussed about the elliptical orbits. I'm closing it down for the elliptical orbits at this point because to your level, the problems that you face in mains, this knowledge is more than necessary, like more than that what you need. Okay, so I'm not going into the further details, but yes, there are more problems in advanced level. There are more discussions in advanced level. We can only discuss once you people are in that space. All right. So yeah, that is over. Once that part is clear, what else do I talk about? Let us talk about, let us end this topic. Okay, let us end this topic with some two more ideas which are not really in your syllabus, but let's just talk about them anyway. Do you have any doubts before I start black holes?
No, sir.
So
No, sir. We just start to
that's a
revert.
stupid way to put the styles, just a heading black holes here, because The understanding of black holes is just way beyond us understanding right now. Okay, but to introduce this to you people in a in a fresh manner, they simply say a black hole is a space where the bodies crumble, or the, like, take a mass, take any mass, it obviously has some gravitational effects on its own. If only it is solid, it stays that way. And guys, remember this word, you might come across this word. There is a thing called gravitational pressure. I don't teach it right now in the class, but it depends on your standard in the future. If you come across this word, we will definitely talk about this idea, gravitational pressure, where the gravity, the planet is just being crushed by its own gravitation. The pressure that it is putting on itself is called as a gravitational pressure. We can definitely talk about it if you people want it. Okay, sometime. Like I said, there are more and more ideas to discuss. It depends on your interest. But if only it is made out of gas and it is not burning, the gases are out of, they're completely burnt out. If it is burning because of those energies, they're pumped out like our sun is doing, not sun, the sun, okay, is doing. But when the gases run out and they're not burning anymore, the mass is still there, the stars, they collapse into themselves, and with the same mass they get more dense and more dense and more dense, and eventually get so dense, the amount of gravitation that is around this space, the amount of gravitation that's around this space, if you try to find the escape velocity at this point, that is the way that is introduced it to you people. Such a stupid way to put it, because black holes are not just this. Okay, black holes are way more than beyond our understanding. But they put that if you try to find this escape velocity at this point, it comes more than the light's velocity. So they say even light speed is not good enough for the bodies to, sorry, the for good enough for any body, for even the photons to escape this space. So that is why even the light goes and it doesn't come back. That is how they put it, the idea of black hole. That is how they introduce it. The escape velocity, basically escape velocity formula is root over gm by r, or is it 2 gm by r, I guess.
2 gm, sir.
So 2 gm by r.
The mass is so high. The mass is just like a star's mass. The radius gets really, really small, like extremely small, because so that the escape velocity is so high, it is greater than light's velocity itself, and that is why a black hole forms. That is how it is introduced to you people. So if you ever come across a problem with black hole, just remember this idea and do it. That's all. But it's not the way, right? Like there is just a lot more to talk about gravitation. Okay, so especially black holes. We don't really know anything about black holes. We, in this topic, we just got introduced ourselves to the idea that it's just heavily dense object. It is, but the properties are much more complex to understand. So let's not talk about it. All right. So that's just a basic stupid introduction of black holes. And there is this idea that you people, if you really want to study, that the idea is nothing but the thing that we just learned about the gravitation, this formula. Wait a second, something happened. Whoa, we are into optics. What happened here? Wait a second. So the idea that we just learned, the idea of gravitation, G m1 m2 by r square. At the end of the topic, after you learn the whole thing, they simply say it's not right. At the end of this topic itself, in H.C. Verma, it was mentioned, but it's not in your syllabus. Don't worry about it. I'm just taking you people there.
So then why did they teach us?
Why did they
Okay,
teach you
sir.
that sun rises in the east or west? Where does the sun rise?
East, sir, east.
Yeah, so why do they teach the
East.
sun rises in the east?
Because it actually rises, sir.
No, it doesn't. Sun
No.
doesn't rise. It's the
Yes,
earth that
sun
is
doesn't
rising.
Slow.
rise. For our perspective, it rises.
So at that age, to your perspective, it is difficult to put that there is something, then we are moving and things like that. So that is why to your stupid mind to understand, they simply put the sun rises in the east. It's not just the earth is going around sun either, right? It's much more complicated. But for a guy, for a little kid who's just 3 years old, you can't teach quantum mechanics and you can't teach theory of relativity. That is how you put it. So for your understanding, just understanding gravity as g1 m1 m2 by r square is just good enough. But look at this fact that the very fact that the gravitational constant and the law of gravitation doesn't work in a range. Like for normal bodies it works, but after a range of bodies it doesn't really work. And they actually, they change the law to this thing. Okay, you can go through this paragraph which is in the last page of gravitation. Just go through it. It doesn't really make sense to at this point, and there are no problems regarding this thing either. It's just an idea that law of gravitation is not just limited to g m1 m2 by r square, and there is more. That is the statement that he just wants to make. That's all right, guys. So that's it from me for the topic of gravitation. For further discussions, yeah, there are more problems to discuss. Maybe we'll take tomorrow also. I'll see if we can just complete the problems tomorrow. I'll start a new topic tomorrow itself. All right. Any doubt before
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So we have integration with variable density of sphere in our syllabus.
In advanced level, yes.
So we'll discuss that, sir.
If you come across a problem like that, yes. Otherwise, no.
Okay,
It's
sir.
not there in like my teaching schedule. In my teaching schedule, it's all just the ideas, introduction of the ideas only. It's your job to come across the problems and I'll just help you go through it. That's all. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Aditya, what is it?
So there are two questions regarding black hole in this DPP, sir.
Yeah, try them.
Theory based.
Try them.
No, so they are theory based. So who is that something one type of name is there he has.
No, they're
But
not
it is
that
name.
complicated. Try to read them now. Like previously, you were scared of the word black hole in the first place, so you got scared maybe.
No, I read it, sir. It's like expression of Schwarzschild equation. Radius around the mass m is
Okay.
Twice.
so it is like that, sir. Like question number 35.
But
in
it
DPP.
is about some escape velocity, or it is about something. So look
I
into
don't know whose child it is.
There's some child radius, sir.
Yeah, sir. I don't know who
Child
it is.
They
radius.
are
Who is it?
talking about the radius and the escape velocity and the gravitational force and things like that only. Look into the problem without any fear. If you don't get it, I will definitely help you. Okay.
Sir, there is one more problem, sir. Theory based in this.
Alright, look into them right now.
Yeah, I looked, sir. That's why I'm asking. For some 5 minutes, I was looking at them.
Right after class, take some time, look into the problem properly, think about it, and send your discussion, and we'll talk about it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
There are only two problems.
Yeah. So that's it for today, guys. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the problems tomorrow. All right. Thanks.
So will we have video of this
I've
recording?
recorded it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sharing it right now.
So we can get at least.
I'll let you know. Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir.